and that Tapu Fini.
Yeah, very smart play from both players to probably keep it a little bit safe, and some of their more niche Pokemon changing it up. The one thing I do like in Wolf's lead here is the Tapu Fini coming in and changing the terrain, so even if he has to switch it out, that Tapu Koko isn't going to be getting the benefit of the electric terrain to boost its electric type attacks. Arcanine's Intimidate, pretty useful here as well with that Kartana in play, meaning that those Leaf Blades, those Sacred Swords aren't going to be doing as much damage. So something like Tapu Fini might consider trying to stick around, maybe not switching out in place of trying to get a little bit of damage down. But the likelihood is Wolf's in a position where he can switch that out and bring in something a little more favorable. Now what Eduardo's going to have to do is try and capitalize on that. Make sure he gets something out of this turn. And knowing that terrain's not in play, that's something that is clearly very important to him.
Eduardo sending out his own Tapu Fini for that Tapu Koko so it can come back and bring back the electric terrain as Kartana uses Detect to protect itself this turn. Muddy Water from Wolf's Tapu Fini will connect with Eduardo's Tapu Fini. It's not going to do a lot of damage thanks to the resistance, but it does get a critical hit. No accuracy drop. Arcanine Flare Blitz into that detecting Kartana.
Well, a pretty safe turn, I think, from both players. Getting the Tapu Fini in for Eduardo is absolutely huge here because the Kartana will put pressure down on the Tapu Fini slot. And of course, Tapu Fini on his side will put pressure down on the Arcanine slot. So a very kind of simple breakdown on what he's threatening on both sides of the field here. Taking a little bit of damage on his Tapu Fini, but not all that much. That damage is with a critical hit as well.
Tapu Fini leaving the field from Wolf, sending in his own Kartana to take its place. Arcanine protecting this turn, so Wolf playing very defensively, trying to position himself, so he's better off moving forward, but Eduardo capitalizing on that perfectly. Substitute from the Kartana, Tapu Fini with a Scald into the protecting Arcanine.
And I think that's something that Eduardo needed to do. We saw Wolf do it in an earlier round. A really smart use of Substitute helped him get out of a slightly tighter situation. And Eduardo, knowing that Tapu Fini is going to be leaving the field because it wasn't really too valuable, managing to set up the Substitute. That means the Arcanine, even if it sticks around to try and take the Scald and retaliate with a Flare Blitz, isn't going to be getting a knockout on Eduardo's. Well, the Kartana on Wolf's side is coming in to threaten Tapu Fini, but Eduardo's Kartana has a little bit of breathing room to maybe try and get a couple of Sacred Swords in there.
Tapu Fini leaving the field on Eduardo's side, Arcanine taking its place, going to threaten that Kartana as well as intimidate it, lowering its attack stat and lowering how much damage it could use with a move like Leaf Blade. Detect from Eduardo's Kartana, so protecting that Substitute, not ready to lose it quite yet, as Wolf goes for the first Z move of the game.
Yes, it's going to be Bloom Doom from Wolf's Kartana. We touched on the use of Grassinium Z before this, and this could be a big attack that he was looking to send towards that Tapu Fini that was on the field at the beginning of the turn for Eduardo. The big damage coming up, but I don't think it's going to be doing anywhere near as much to that Arcanine. So after the Intimidate, and of course the resisted type, even though it does about 40% and from a not very effective attack, that's the Z move from Wolf, A, revealed, and B, not maximized.
Not maximized at all. Arcanine left attacking into that Kartana, and Wolf and Eduardo really kind of stuck at a mirror right now.
Yeah, they've got slightly different sets, I think, between the two of them. We haven't seen the reveal, of course, on Eduardo's Kartana, but you do have to wonder if it's going to be the same kind of thing. They do play and team build together, so they probably know a little bit about this, especially because Eduardo's playing variety of a team he's been playing all year. But the mirror is certainly helpful when your opponent's already revealed their Z move and not gotten any value out of it. Arcanine was the perfect switch in there for Eduardo, making sure that Bloom Doom didn't do as much, and I don't think Wolf quite respected it enough.
Kartana with the Detect this turn on Wolf's side of the field as the opposing Kartana goes for a Sacred Sword, not attacking Kartana, instead attacking the Arcanine, going to start dealing damage to it. Flare Blitz from Eduardo's Arcanine into the Kartana, and Arcanine Flare Blitz finally going to connect with something. In this case, it's going to break that Kartana Substitute.
Yeah, getting rid of that Substitute is really, really helpful, because then it means that Wolf can start going after the Kartana with his own Kartana. He can try and get it with something like a Sacred Sword, and that is going to be a bit of a stretch, but it's certainly not out the realm of possibility. Getting rid of Substitute was so important there. And of course, we see with Eduardo's Arcanine just attacking into a Detect, that's almost a wasted turn for it. That's something that both players will need to make sure if they want to get an advantage in this mirror, they're making the right predictions on what's protecting, what's keeping it safe.
Tapu Koko taking the field for the Arcanine on Eduardo's side of the field, getting rid of the Misty Terrain and bringing back that Electric Terrain to boost its Electric-type moves. And we get our second Bloom Doom of the game from Eduardo and his Kartana.
Yeah, his Kartana also carrying the Gracium Z, but neither of the targets on the field really premium targets, I'd say, for the Grass-type Z move. Obviously, we saw it didn't do too much to Arcanine when it came out from Wolf's side of the field, but in this case, it's heading towards Kartana on Wolf's side of the field. And again, another Z move just not doing enough, even with a critical hit.
Even with that critical hit, it won't stop the Kartana on Wolf's side of the field from using a substitute of its own, as Arcanine with the Flare Blitz, if this connects with that Kartana, it'll definitely, certainly knock it out.
Yeah, really easy knockout there. And Wolf getting the substitute up for himself. Now he's the one with the Kartana kept safe, and that's going to be really, really important, especially because Eduardo is now down a Pokemon. We did see the Kartanas matching up, and you have to wonder why the switch out on the Arcanine. Getting that Tapu Koko in, admittedly, is nice, but now the Intimidate, when he brings it back in, isn't even that valuable because it doesn't get Kartana behind the substitute. The substitute not phased by the scary face of Arcanine at all.
Intimidating Wolf's Arcanine, though, could help it a little bit, but if anything, if I were Wolf, you know, maybe it's time for Arcanine to leave the field and save that Intimidate of its own to try and keep Kartana around for just a little bit longer.
Kartana's in a great position here, though. The substitute up is going to keep it around for at least one more hit, so you're going to have to get rid of that. And we've seen from these players smart play to try and get this in. An interesting switch from Wolf, which Eduardo appears to have fallen for. The Thunderbolt redirected right there.
Leaf Blade from that Kartana into the Tapu Koko to bring it down to just below half of its health. And Arcanine on Eduardo's side of the field with the Flare Blitz going to crash into the Kartana to break the substitute. A great switch from Wolf there.
Well, I think what we saw Eduardo trying to do there was double into that Kartana, break the substitute and knock it out with Flare Blitz. And Wolf forced to reveal the Togedemaru. But if you're forced to reveal it and you get an advantage out of it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. The Togedemaru is going to have the option to fake out, and after that start zing-zapping in electric terrain, so I'm pretty sure Kartana, even though it's probably a little bit worried about the Arcanine, Togedemaru can keep it in check for at least one, if not more turns.
Togedemaru more than happy to stick around, but Kartana leaving the field for Wolf. Arcanine taking its place, bringing back that Intimidate to lower the attack stat of Eduardo's Arcanine. Going to lessen the amount of damage Flare Blitz can do to that Togedemaru, which could be important, but Eduardo switching out his Arcanine to bring the Tapu Fini onto the field. So no longer will Tapu Koko or Togedemaru be able to benefit from the electric terrain. Instead, it's going to be the misty terrain. Spiky Shield from the Togedemaru, so no fake out, no flinching from Wolf this turn. Instead, Tapu Koko on Eduardo's side of the field left to use Dazzling Gleam to attack into the Arcanine.
I think this is a really, really smart play from Wolf because, as you can see in this turn, it started to pay off on a number of levels. Not only is Togedemaru able to stick around and keeping itself on the field even longer with the Spiky Shield, but he's forcing Eduardo into using certain moves. If you can't use your Electric-type attacks on Tapu Koko, you're kind of stuck using something suboptimal like Dazzling Gleam. The switch to Arcanine, obviously a resisting type because of the fire typing, really, really helpful there. And with that information in mind, I think Wolf's going to be able to capitalize on it.
We will have to see if Wolf is able to capitalize on it. First, though, switching out his Arcanine for his own Tapu Fini. So definitely something to threaten that Arcanine and to not worry as much about the Tapu Fini on Eduardo's side of the field. Zing Zap into the Tapu Fini, and Tapu Fini on Eduardo's side of the field revealing that it has Light Screen.
That Light Screen is going to be really, really helpful against Wolf's Tapu Fini of his own. It doesn't help so much against Pokemon such as the Arcanine or the Kartana, but clearly the Tapu Fini is something he's respecting and maybe trying to keep his Arcanine around a little bit longer, being able to eat up these Water-type attacks from Wolf's Tapu Fini. If it can stick around, then it can start dealing damage to things such as Togedemaru, maybe be around on the field when Kartana's in play. All of that really, really important. So I think Eduardo really setting up Light Screen just to try and beat the Tapu Fini.
But Wolf is one step ahead with his Togedemaru and Encore, locking that Tapu Fini into using Light Screen for the next 5 turns. Arcanine with the Snarl will further boost Eduardo's defenses, lowering the special attack stat of the Tapu Fini and the Togedemaru on the field. Scald, even with the lowered special attack, even with that Light Screen, thanks to the choice specs, is still able to bring Arcanine down into the red so that it has to consume its Mago Berry and go back up to about 75% of its health.
Well, I think here, even though he's not taking knockouts, I feel like Wolf's in the driving seat for this game, because now Togedemaru's encored Tapu Fini, then he's literally forcing a certain play from Edu. He can't afford to leave Tapu Fini in there just failing Light Screen every single time, and the Arcanine on Edu's side of the field, probably a really obvious target for both the Pokemon on Wolf's side. You know, Togedemaru can get some good damage down on it with the Zing Zap that will help potentially even flinch it. And then, of course, Tapu Fini can follow it with another Scald. The Berry's gone, and that's going to help. If he's gone for Zing Zap, it's going to be even stronger this turn.
Tapu Koko taking the place of the Tapu Fini, and Arcanine protecting on Eduardo's side of the field. Togedemaru going for a second encore onto the Arcanine, and Tapu Fini left scalding into the Tapu Koko switch-in.
They were making very smart plays, falling a little bit short of the damage and not getting the burn. But now the onus is on Tapu Koko to start dealing damage. There's one problem with that. It can't deal the damage it wants to deal, those Thunderbolts, those Volt Switches, while Togedemaru is on the field. So Tapu Fini probably feeling pretty safe, even though its special attack stat was lowered, of course, by that Snarl earlier from Arcanine. It's still in a great position to start putting damage back down.
Tapu Fini taking the place of that Tapu Koko on Eduardo's side of the field, and Wolf's Tapu Fini switching out as well. Not content to stick around with that Snarl and with that Light Screen still in play. Instead, the Arcanine taking its place to lower the physical attack of the opposing Arcanine. Togedemaru able to encore the Arcanine into Protect as well this turn.
Well, this encore coming in again. Arcanine failing his Protect. That's really important. So it means that if he leaves Arcanine in, it's guaranteed to actually be protecting. But Togedemaru can actually just start Zing Zapping that slot on the right. Tapu Fini stays in, it's going to take some super effective damage. And if Tapu Koko comes in, it's going to get knocked out because it has so low damage. So this encore is going to be so important for Wolf, knowing exactly what his opponent's doing every single turn.
Helping hand from Wolf's Arcanine, ready to help the Togedemaru out with its Zing Zap as Eduardo's Arcanine protects itself this turn. Zing Zap will connect with the Tapu Fini on Eduardo's side of the field, and thanks to the help of the helping hand, it's enough to knock it out.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needed. That Arcanine isn't able to do much at all. It's going to be forced to keep on trying to protect, and the Tapu Koko on Eduardo's side is going to be forced in with a minimal amount of health, 1 or 2 at most. If there is the extreme speed from Wolf's Arcanine, he will be able to pick that up before it even gets a chance to move and retaliate, potentially looking to knock out Wolf's Arcanine. And the Arcanine on Edu's side is still stuck in Protect, so there's no real way out for him in this game. Very smart play with the substitutes and the encore, I think, from Wolf. And this is one of those games where he really gets in his opponent's head.
And this is what Encore is perfect for, being able to force your opponent to waste turns using a move such as Protect that won't really help them out offensively, while you slowly whittle away at their health with moves like Zing Zap. Is just a great sort of combination of how to play the game.
It is, and that's something that Wolf's been particularly good at, is holding onto a board position and forcing his opponents to play a certain way. It's a really big ask for many players, but overall it's certainly an interesting one. We do see the helping hand though.
Helping hand from Arcanine into the Togedemaru. Eduardo not wanting to get locked into Protect for yet another few turns, going immediately for the extreme speed onto the opposing Arcanine and activating Arcanine's Pinch Berry. Dazzling Gleam from the Tapu Koko is not very effective, and Tapu Koko actually knocks itself out with its own Life Orb damage, so one Zing Zap here with that helping hand could be enough to knock out that Arcanine and bring us into Game 2.
Well, that was a really smart play actually, just kind of letting it happen, knowing